Welcome to the Creative Life Story Work podcast, your regular dose of life story work inspiration. Every month, we bring you life story work ideas, tools, and honest insights from a range of perspectives. Stay connected to the latest thinking in life story work as we talk to people with lived experience, practitioners, local authorities, carers, and people who are shaping the way we help care-experienced children and young people make sense of their past and build a brighter future. Today, we are exploring resources to support children and young people who have experience of a refugee or asylum-seeking context look at their life story. And so I'm delighted to welcome into the podcast studio Michael Nwoye from Children and Families Across Borders and Paula Price from Therapeutic Life Story Work International to consider how best to facilitate life story work with young people. You may have met them in our live classroom on May the 7th. Michael is an inter-country social worker with Children and Families Across Borders. They're called CFAB. CFAB protects children and reunites families across borders and ensures that children who've become separated from their families across international borders are given care and protection, no matter where they come from. Paula is chair of Therapeutic Life Story Work UK, the UK branch of Therapeutic Life Story Work International, TLSWUK. Paula has worked with children and families for many years and as a therapist since 2011. She specialises in therapeutic life story work and is also a play therapist. She wrote a chapter for Richard Rose's book, Innovative Therapeutic Life Story Work, Developing Trauma-Informed Practice for Working with Children, Adolescents and Young Adults. Paula and Michael, how lovely to see you this afternoon. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Dawn. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Dawn. Nice to see you both.
It's lovely to see you again. I wondered, first of all, if you could tell us about the collaboration that took place between Children and Families Across Borders, Therapeutic Life Story Work International, Blue Cabin, and Kazoom Arts, somebody else we haven't named in the space. Could you tell us, why did we come together to collaborate as three organisations? Michael, would you like to start that?
Yes, sure. Obviously, we did find a gap, so to speak, in terms of how we are best able to support children and young people who have come from newly arrived in the UK with complex and multiple traumas, separation, loss, and things like that, and with their own peculiar challenges like language, not having any documents or artifacts or things like they can connect to a record, and how we can support them to fully be grounded and to be able to, from there, then launch forward. So Children and Families Across Borders, Therapeutic Life Story Work International, and Blue Cabin decided to come together to create a toolkit to help practitioners be able to support such children. But also we created a video that such children and young people can also watch and help them understand why they need to be speaking. Who is this professional? Who is this stranger I'm speaking to? And why am I speaking to this person? And we did produce that in Arabic, Dari, and Tigrinya. And we also created a toolkit for the interpreters who will be working with these children and young people in a trauma-informed way. That's essentially it in a nutshell.
Lovely. Thank you, Michael. And Paula, Therapeutic Life Story Work International was such a key partner. Would you like to say a bit about your expertise that you brought to this project in the development of the three resources that Michael's outlined?
Yes, I think we, as an organisation, as a community of practice, Therapeutic Life Story Work International practitioners, we're very used to doing this difficult and sensitive work with children and young people who've experienced a lot of different adverse experiences. But this particular group of children and young people present other needs and other challenges for practitioners, really, in terms of, as Michael says, the lack of information that is available to them, to other people around their life, their history, their family story. And we're always looking for ways to develop our practice and to be able to support more and more children and young people. So the idea of working in partnership was brilliant for us, because obviously Michael and CFAB have a wealth of knowledge and experience and expertise in this area, and we were able to bring that knowledge and understanding of how therapeutic life story should work in its best way, but also, you know, gain more information ourselves about, okay, how do we adapt this practice? What do we need to think of? And I think collaboration sort of enables everyone to pool all of their resources, doesn't it, in terms of their knowledge and understanding, and just create something for a particular sort of group of children and young people who need something specific to their own experiences and needs.
Thank you. So we, between us, have developed 3 very distinct resources. And I wondered, Michael, would you like to talk us through briefly the animation for the young people? What was the thinking behind creating that animation? And maybe it's a bit about how we did it, because I had the pleasure of being in those sessions and they were amazing.
It was a lot of work, and well done to everyone. It was a lot of work. A lot of thinking had to go into it. A lot of co-production at the best, in that we had even young people involved. We had interpreters involved. We had practitioners involved. So we're not just coming from one approach to it. It was a multi-faceted approach. But to speak to what we decided to do, so we do recognize, like we've said, that the young people and children we work with have come from abroad, not familiar with this system in the UK and some of the services in the UK. Maybe a bit of background from a CFAB perspective. We have what we call a post-placement support project, which means that we support newly arrived families, usually from conflict areas, with practical support that would be around education, health, registration, housing, language, whatever they might require. And we find that some of the young people and children are here but not here. When you say, I've arrived, but they haven't quite arrived in terms of where their mind is and emotion and all of that stuff. And what we did was to put ourselves as much as possible in their shoes and to try and see how we can get them to open up about their journeys in a way that they can be supported. So we had to look at things like, you don't want to go in with a lanyard because it makes it look like you're one more official. You don't know what their experience has been with different people who have come in their space. You are a stranger to this young person. They probably have recounted their stories to multiple strangers. So why should they tell it the 20th or the 30th time to you? Around things like that. And we thought to also use the language that they understand, and also in a form that they probably would resonate with more, which is why we use an animation instead. And the story is told through the voice of a child as well, and hoping that they can watch it and it helps start the process of life story work.
Thank you. And Paula, the other 2 resources that were created was a practitioner toolkit for anybody undertaking life story work, but also a guide for interpreters. Would you like to say a bit about the thinking behind the creation of those 2 resources and why it's important to make them freely accessible?
Yes, I think with the practitioner guide, the idea was to create a guide for people who weren't therapeutic life story work trained, so they could look at resources, they could get some ideas of how to work, but also thinking about those who were therapeutic life story work trained, thinking about how they need to adapt some of the ways they might work or some of the thinking they might need to put into their planning. So it was twofold really, about sort of making those resources meet as many different practitioners or people from different professional backgrounds as possible, being able to use those. And we wanted to make them widely available because there are going to be a lot of different people who are going to be working with children and young people who are going to need this kind of support. So that's why not only were they designed in a way to sort of meet the needs of lots of different professions or adults in various positions, but also that anybody could access them. So it wasn't something that people had to buy into, or, you know, they were just there. Because I think it's about meeting that need for the children and the young people, which is the primary sort of aim that we had with all of this. And with the interpreter's guide, I mean, it's something that Michael and CFAB will be very familiar with, but less so for some other practitioners, is about how you work alongside an interpreter. But also we wanted to be able to support the interpreter and kind of say, okay, this is the work that we're going to be doing. This is your role in it, so that they were clear of what was going to happen and what the expectations were of them, and, you know, they felt prepared to be best able to support in those sessions. So that was quite a key thing as well.
And Paula, just to finish that thought off, what are some of the key tips for practitioners when working alongside interpreters?
Understanding and having a clear idea and discussion beforehand about what role the interpreter is going to play within those sessions. Because I think typically an interpreter's role is to kind of remain sort of outside, you know, the activity anyway, to simply to interpret, not to be actively involved. So it was thinking about, okay, well, if we want somebody to actually be actively involved, how do we explain that to them? What do we say that we want of them? So to have that agreement beforehand about what their role is in the session and what we would hope they would be able to get involved in or not get involved in the session, depending on what was the most appropriate way to move forward. But I think as well, having the discussions about how the information might be sensitive and might be difficult to hear, and helping the interpreter to be ready for some of the difficult conversations that are going to happen, and how to kind of facilitate that for the young person in a way that makes it as easy as possible for that young person to have those conversations and to say those things via an interpreter.
Thank you, Paula. I just remember being in those conversations with interpreters and just thinking, what an incredible group of people they are, with the decisions that they're making as they're hearing conversations and how they interpret and the language that they use. That's one of the conversations that sticks in my mind. Let's go to a break so you can hear about our Creative Life Storywork membership offer.
We want people to gain more of an understanding about what it's like to be care experienced and to have a better understanding of what it actually means.
Could Creative Life Storywork make a difference to the care experienced children and young people you work with? Maybe you're a social worker.
I think we forget at our peril that actually telling a child the story of their early life is one of the most profound uses of social work power that we could ever operate.
Perhaps you're a foster carer.
You know, when they say it's all about the child, it's not, because our experiences, it's about the carer and the child. And it just gives a new angle to our relationship because we're learning about each other together.
A Creative Life Storywork membership will give you or your whole team access to resources, including activities you can use in direct work with children and young people, training with life story work experts, and lots more.
And I think a lot of our children are looking for meaning, looking for, well, why is it I feel this way when my friends don't? Why is it I get angry internally and my friends don't? The greatest thing we see is when we are able to say to young people, this is your story, this is about who you are. And then children towards the end say, it's not my fault that these things happened, but it is something that I can do something about. And once we have that, then we know we can move forward.
Find out about our membership for individuals and for organisations on our website, creativelifestorywork.com.
Michael, I wondered if you would like to say a bit about how this toolkit supports practitioners to build trust and to work safely across different cultures.
Yeah, yes, just like Paula has said, it's basically something to add to their expertise already. It's all about adaptation. The life story workers are already skilled, but this is just to help as well to make sure that the practice is culturally sensitive. It has to be respectful curiosity. You have to be open-minded. They have to try as much as possible to ensure that I always say that ice is better melted than broken. So it can be, you have to be patient. You have to try and give them the tools to be able to be confident enough to express themselves. But with the tool we've created, we have other games that you want to play. We've brought about how games can also be culturally inclusive, for lack of a better word. So to use games that they are familiar with and engage them to also contribute to the kind of games that they want to play, because from there they express themselves. The expression is not only by verbal. Even when we do work with interpreters, we always say that interpreters have to be sensitive to see what they are saying with their non-verbal cues. So essentially, the guide is just a resource that is quite robust in how it gives different scenarios, different games, different ideas, different ways of getting the young person or the child to open up, to trust us. Because it's like social work, life story work is relationship based. There has to be relationship. There has to be some sort of formed relationship to be able to do the work. So what the resource does is to ensure that that is achieved.
And Michael, again, what role, I'm just thinking about the animation that we've created, what role does that play in helping young people understand and engage with life story work?
It's a preparatory resource. It's something they can watch, and it speaks to them in more ways than the life story worker would have introduced life story work, or the social worker, or the key professional, the key worker would have introduced life story work. It says it's from, like I said initially, from their own. It's a young person like them speaking their own language in a dialect or language that they understand, explaining what the process is from start to finish in some sort of way. So I think it helps melt the ice. I use the word melt again, in getting them to open up and to want to engage with the life story work practitioner, but also the interpreter as well.
Thank you. And Paula, what about children or young people who may have limited language or feel really unsure about sharing their story? What's the hope for how these resources will support that child?
I think the key thing with the resources, and hopefully it's clear in the animation as well, is it's all about relationship building and building trust. And that was an important part as well as in the guide for interpreters. We always start from that point where we don't start the more difficult or sensitive work with children and young people until we've kind of built up some of that relational connection. And also, as Michael said, games are really important. It's adding that playfulness in, it's having that brevity in a session as well, something that is familiar and is safe and is comfortable and is easy, and sort of building on creating that environment where a child or young person feels safe is definitely a key part of it.
Thank you. And Michael, maybe it was the hope, but what do you hope will change in practice as a result of these resources?
It's more collaborative work between life story work practitioners or therapeutic life story work practitioners and interpreters. It's, helping children find more mediums of expression, helping young people and children develop more trust with the practitioners to help accomplish or achieve life story work to be as robust as possible. Because what we've done is look at some of the challenges that practitioners may face and try to find ways to manage It's like Paula was saying, they have complex experiences. Some of them might have limited, just similar to your question, limited verbal capacity or distrust or things like that. But when you create a medium through which children can then externalize their internal experiences, it just makes the work easier. It's not like it's an easy work anyways, but it makes it much more easier to do. So we hope in a nutshell, for richer life story work practice, more robust, more culturally inclusive. I don't like to use the word culturally competent, but I say more culturally sensitive practice as well.
You ran your live classroom back in May. What are some of the hopes that you have for somebody who attended your live classroom? What is it that you hope that they will be delivering in their practice?
I suppose it's knowing the resources are there, where to find them, having the opportunity to look through them, and working through with people how they can actually put things into practice, and hopefully making people feel confident that this is something that they can do and the resources can support them to do. And also giving people the opportunity to, I suppose, to ask questions and to raise any sort of concerns they might have or challenges they feel that are there, so that people feel like they can go out and do this work and use these resources and provide quality support to children and young people.
Thank you. Michael, do you have anything different that you would like to say?
No.
Or you might just want to underline what Paula said.
Yes, so I'd like to underline what Paula said. It's about, I think it's about learning and sharing. And we hope that, all of these practitioners and even of people who come together would also take that learning on into their practice, but also share that learning to other people as well. Because at the end of the day, it's about the young people and the children that we support. And as long as we can support them the best way possible, we're happy to do it.
Okay, thank you. And my final question to both of you today, so maybe it's Paula first. If people listening to this podcast are to take away just one message about life story work with young people who are refugees or asylum seeking, what should it be?
Oh, you can't limit me to one, Dawn. I will endeavour to answer the question. I think this work, relationships are absolutely key. And it's about building those relationships, because we start our therapeutic life story work from there, but we start so much of our other work from there. So it's about taking that time to build a positive and trusting relationship.
Thank you. You did well to edit yourself there, Paula. Thank you very much. Michael, I'll repeat the question for you again. If people listening to this podcast take away just one message, what should it be?
It's the same that I had. My top one is always, like, you've heard me mention it at least more than once already or twice, to say that, you melt ice, you don't break ice. It's just to say, be patient. Sometimes the young people and children we work with may have quite a strong shield or wall in front of them, but it's important to know that there's a child that needs you to reach, that wants that support, and to just be patient with them, to find other ways, other resources, which is why we have Therapeutic Life International does lots of training. Blue Cabin does lots of training. I'd say try and enrich yourself with as much skills as possible. You're not alone in this. Be patient, and hopefully you'll be able to support the child and young person in the way that they would benefit the most.
Thank you. Paula and Michael, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for our conversation. This set of resources feels such like an important step forward in making life story work more accessible, especially where guidance has been limited in the past. So thank you for your thoughts, and thank you for your conversation today. Whether you're a foster carer, someone who has experience with the care system, or you work with children and young people, we hope this episode has given you an insight into how we can make life story work better for young people and how you can use it in your practice. If you'd like to find out more about creative life story work, then please visit our website, creativelifestorywork.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn and Blue Sky at Creative LSW. Please do get in touch there with any comments or questions, as we'd really love to hear from you. And if your podcast app allows you, please do leave us a review, as it really helps others to find our show. So until next month, bye for now.